Most people think avocado is just another healthy fat, something trendy, something people add to toast, something fitness influencers recommend online. But what most people don't realize is that eating avocado every day may affect your body in ways far deeper than simple nutrition, especially after the age of 40. Because after 40, and even more after 50, the body begins changing quietly. Energy becomes less stable, belly fat becomes harder to lose, blood pressure slowly rises, inflammation increases, muscles recover more slowly, and many people suddenly feel tired in ways they can't fully explain. What makes this frustrating is that most adults don't feel like they're doing anything dramatically wrong. They're trying to eat better, trying to walk more, trying to take care of themselves, and yet the body often feels heavier, slower, more inflamed. But there's a hidden reason for this. As we age, the body becomes far more sensitive to blood sugar spikes, chronic inflammation, and metabolic stress. And surprisingly, avocado may help support all three, not because it's magical, but because of what it contains and what it doesn't. Because unlike many modern foods that constantly overstimulate the body, avocado tends to do the opposite. It nourishes without creating chaos. And once you understand what that means biologically, you begin to see why so many doctors and nutrition experts consider avocado one of the most powerful foods for healthy aging. But there's also a major misunderstanding about avocado that causes many people to use it the wrong way. And later in this video, we'll talk about the hidden mistake that can quietly turn a healthy food into a problem. First, we need to understand why the aging body reacts so differently to food in the first place. When you're younger, the body is often more flexible. You can eat processed foods, sugary snacks, large portions, and still feel relatively normal. But over time, years of stress, inflammation, poor sleep, and blood sugar instability begin changing how the body processes energy. This is why many adults suddenly notice more belly fat, more fatigue after meals, stronger cravings, higher cholesterol, joint stiffness, and slower metabolism. And perhaps the most confusing part, many people start eating less, yet gain more weight. That feels unfair. But biologically, it actually makes sense, because after 40 and 50, the body becomes more protective. Muscle mass slowly declines. Hormones shift. Insulin sensitivity decreases. Inflammation rises. And the body starts storing energy differently, especially around the abdomen. This is one reason visceral fat becomes more common with age. The dangerous fats stored deep around organs. And visceral fat isn't just cosmetic, it's metabolically active. It influences inflammation, blood sugar, hormones, and cardiovascular health. That's why doctors worry far more about waist size than many people realize. And this is exactly where avocado becomes fascinating. Because avocado is rich in monounsaturated fats. These are healthy fats that appear to support heart health, blood sugar stability, and inflammation control. But what makes this especially important after 50 is how these fats affect fullness and energy balance. Most processed foods digest quickly. They spike blood sugar rapidly. Insulin rises. Energy crashes follow. Cravings return. And the cycle repeats all day long. This is one reason so many adults feel constantly hungry. Even after eating, the body is trapped on an energy roller coaster, but avocado digests much more slowly, and slower digestion can create something powerful. Stability, stable blood sugar, stable energy, stable hunger signals. This matters enormously for aging adults, because many people are not overeating due to lack of discipline. They're reacting to unstable biology. When blood sugar crashes, cravings intensify. When insulin stays elevated, fat storage increases. When stress hormones rise, appetite changes. And suddenly the body feels impossible to control. What's interesting is that many people who begin eating avocado regularly notice something subtle before anything else. They feel satisfied longer, not stuffed, not heavy, just calmer around food. That matters more than most people realize, because constant hunger creates emotional exhaustion, especially after years of dieting. Many adults secretly feel like they're fighting their own bodies every day. But the body is often responding exactly the way biology predicts. And sometimes the solution isn't eating less. Sometimes it's eating foods that help the body feel nourished and stable again. Now let's talk about the heart, because this is one of the biggest reasons avocado has attracted so much scientific attention. Heart disease risk increases with age. Blood vessels become less flexible. Inflammation builds up. Cholesterol balance changes. Blood pressure often rises slowly over time. And what most people don't realize is that chronic inflammation damages the cardiovascular system quietly for years before symptoms appear. This is why many people feel fine, until suddenly they aren't. Avocados contain potassium, fiber, and healthy fats that may help support cardiovascular health. Potassium is especially important because many adults consume far too much sodium and not enough potassium. This imbalance can affect blood pressure, fluid balance, and circulation. And circulation itself becomes incredibly important during aging, because poor circulation often shows up as fatigue, cold hands and feet, brain fog, slower recovery, or low stamina. The body simply becomes less efficient at delivering oxygen and nutrients where they're needed. And while no single food can solve everything, supportive foods can reduce some of the strain the body experiences daily. That's what healthy aging is really about. Not reversing time, reducing stress on the body. An avocado may help do that in several ways at once. Now here's something many people never expect. Eating healthy fats may actually help some people reduce belly fat over time. That sounds backward. Because for decades, people were taught to fear fat. Low-fat diets became extremely popular. Fat-free products filled grocery stores. People started replacing fat with processed carbohydrates and sugar. And ironically, obesity and metabolic disease continued rising. Why? Because the body reacts very differently to processed carbohydrates than to natural, healthy fats. Processed foods often overstimulate hunger and blood sugar. Healthy fats tend to slow digestion and improve satiety. This creates a completely different hormonal response. And hormones control far more than calories alone, especially after 50. Now, this does not mean avocado is a weight loss miracle. That's where many people become confused. Avocados are calorie dense, which means portion size still matters. And this is the hidden mistake many people make. They begin adding avocado on top of an already excessive diet. Large portions, processed snacks, sugary drinks, restaurant meals, late-night eating. Then they wonder why weight loss stalls. Healthy foods still exist within total lifestyle patterns. But when avocado replaces processed foods, instead of simply adding more calories, the body often responds very differently. And perhaps the biggest reason is inflammation, because chronic inflammation quietly affects nearly every system in the body. Joints, blood vessels, energy, brain function, blood sugar, digestion, sleep, fat storage. Inflammation is one of the hidden drivers of aging itself, and many modern diets constantly fuel it. Highly processed oils, sugary foods, ultra-processed snacks, chronic overeating, stress, poor sleep. Over time, the body begins acting like it's under constant attack. This creates exhaustion internally, and exhausted bodies don't function efficiently. That's why so many adults over 50 feel tired even after resting. Their systems are overloaded, not broken. Overloaded. This realization changes how people see health, because instead of blaming themselves, they begin understanding the deeper biological picture. And understanding creates hope. Now let's talk about the digestive system, because digestion changes significantly with age. The gut becomes more sensitive. Digestion slows. Bloating becomes more common. Constipation affects millions of adults over 50. And many people don't realize how much digestion affects overall energy and inflammation. If digestion is poor, the entire body feels heavier. Avocados contain fiber, which supports digestive health and helps feed beneficial gut bacteria. This matters because the gut influences far more than digestion alone. It also affects immune function, inflammation, mood, metabolism, and even hunger hormones. In many ways, the gut acts like a control center for overall health. And when the gut environment improves, people often notice changes far beyond digestion. More stable energy, better mood, reduced bloating, less intense cravings. Again, not overnight, but gradually. And gradual improvement is actually how real health transformation usually works. This is another misunderstanding many people have after 50. They expect dramatic results instantly, but the body heals in layers. First, energy stabilizes, then digestion improves, then sleep becomes deeper, then cravings decrease, then movement feels easier, and eventually, the body begins feeling safer and more balanced again. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. The healthiest aging adults rarely follow extreme routines forever. Instead, they build calming daily habits their bodies can trust. That's where long-term transformation happens. And avocado fits naturally into that philosophy. Simple, satisfying, nourishing, sustainable. Now there's another surprising area where avocado may help. The brain. The aging brain is highly sensitive to inflammation, blood sugar instability, and circulation problems. This is why many adults notice mental fatigue, brain fog, slower concentration, or forgetfulness. Healthy fats are extremely important for brain function because the brain itself contains large amounts of fat. And stable blood sugar helps protect mental clarity throughout the day. This is why some people feel mentally sharper when replacing highly processed breakfasts with protein and healthy fats. The brain prefers stability, not constant sugar spikes and crashes. And perhaps this explains why so many adults feel dramatically different after changing only their breakfast habits. Because the first meal of the day often sets the tone for blood sugar and energy for hours afterward. Now here's something important. Avocado is not special because it's trendy. It's special because it aligns with how the human body actually functions. The body thrives on stable energy, steady blood sugar, nutrient density, healthy fats, fiber, and reduced inflammation, especially during aging. And perhaps the most emotional part of all this is realizing that healthy aging is still possible. Many people over 50 quietly lose hope. They assume fatigue is permanent, weight gain is unavoidable, energy loss is inevitable, but often the body is simply waiting for consistent support, not punishment, not starvation, not impossible workouts, not obsessive dieting, support. And small daily choices can begin shifting the body surprisingly quickly. A healthier breakfast, more walking, better sleep, less processed food, more whole foods, more stability. That's where the real transformation begins, not in dramatic moments, but in repeated daily signals. And this may be the most important truth about eating avocado every day. It's not about one food changing your life overnight. It's about changing the environment inside your body. An environment with less inflammation, more stable energy, better nourishment, improved fullness, and reduced metabolic stress. That internal shift affects almost everything. How you feel when you wake up, how hungry you feel, how your joints feel, how clearly you think, how easily your body stores fat. And over time, those small internal changes become visible externally. More energy, better movement, improved mood, healthier aging. Because the body is constantly listening to what you repeatedly do. Every meal sends signals, every habit sends signals, every night of sleep sends signals. And foods like avocado may help send calmer, steadier signals the body desperately needs during aging. So if you begin eating avocado every day, don't think of it as chasing a health trend. Think of it as supporting systems that have been under pressure for years. Your metabolism, your blood sugar, your heart, your digestion, your brain, and maybe most importantly, your future quality of life. Because healthy aging's not about looking young forever. It's about feeling capable, clear-minded, strong enough to enjoy life, energetic enough to stay independent, healthy enough to keep doing what you love. And sometimes those transformations begin with surprisingly simple habits, like the foods you choose every single day. And in our next discussion, we may uncover another hidden truth most people never hear about aging and metabolism. Why some healthy foods quietly increase inflammation and fatigue after 50, without people ever realizing it.